Hi guys, this is Rotze Od, and I would like to focus today on what happened this week, mainly in terms, of course, pivots trading. But let's first take a look at the last 3 weeks. We have this week the huge volatility that we've seen. We have the week before that, and the week before that when we saw a correction, a small, relatively one correction. And I talked about it in one of my videos. Price, you can see it's hitting the monthly pivot in blue, in dark blue. It's testing it once, twice. It's actually 1, 2, 3 days of testing, another day, and then it starts this amazing uptrend that has been for the last 3 weeks. And you can see that we went from pivot to all the way to the monthly R3. So that's the rule of thumb. Price above pivot. Price tested the pivot a few times, and we're going up. It's a bullish trade. So let's a little go inside the dynamics of what happened here. And you can see that these light blues are the pivots of this week. These are the big weekly pivots, and you see that during this week we had this huge run. When we look at it on the daily, it's much clearer. Or you know what, the 4 hours is also good, because we see this is the run, this is the testing of the pivot, of the monthly pivot, and this part is healthy, getting stronger, and then the parabolic move accompanied by huge volume. You can see it on the daily. Just take a look at this. So that's a clear sign of at least a local top. You can combine your intuition or market reading with the volume and the upcoming monthly pivot. So some people called here a top, and this has played very, very well. And then price started this week crazy. From the middle of this week, from this parabolic move, it started trading crazy volatility. So we had this move, and then sellers came inside, started selling all the way to it hit the trend up line. So the trend line is valid. Let's look at it again on the daily. There's a test here, there's another test here, and the wicks tested the trend line. But the wicks not only tested the trend line, they tested also this weekly pivot. So all the way down from, and we had here a convergence of pivot resistance. Not only that we had in dark blue the monthly R3, we also had here just above it the weekly R3. So when you see these kind of things, I'm expecting here either a strong resistance, or I did expect here a strong support. It did not hold, and it went down, and on the second line all the way back to the weekly pivot. So you had this huge trade down and a buy on the weekly pivot, just below the this beautiful trend line. And price, even the 4-hour candles closed above the dynamic support resistance, the 4-hour dynamic support resistance, which is this beautiful line that you see here, excuse me. So now we are seeing price going up, but you might even want to go into the micro trade. So this was the micro trade, which was even more amazing. Again, we saw price coming, hitting the monthly R3, and then started the crazy selling. So the first 15 minutes candle hit this, the weekly R1. So that was a great buy. The next candle went from the weekly R1 back to the weekly R2. And then look what is happening here. So back down from the weekly R2 to the daily R1. This is this pivot line. Hitting here. And then from here bouncing, trying to climb back into, and really hitting this spot of the R4 from last week. So, sorry, from the day before that. And then failing here and starting its descent. So I was a buyer here at these levels. It did not work out. This was a bad trade. But then when price went here to test this place here, I thought there's a small chance of maybe seeing price coming back to test the R1, monthly R1 here in dark blue, but it did not. This was a great buy, and price hit the R2, monthly R2, and came down back, and now it broke. We saw it breaking today above the 15 minutes dynamic support resistance. This is the mean dynamic support resistance, breaking above it, breaking above the daily pivot. So the day today, our day is bullish, and it was consolidating. Look how beautifully it's consolidating on the weekly. What is this? What weekly is this? This, yeah. It was consolidating here on the R1, on the weekly R1, which you saw, by the way, on the 15 minutes. You can see it very clearly that there was the same consolidation here on the way down, and base building, and now it's building a base to trying to test upwards. I still don't know if it has the power for this. This is, in my book, look at the daily. This is very, very fast. I mean, we have, look at this. This is crazy. We had here, I think it was 15 candles. Just 1, 2 of them were green, and then came this big red one. Yes, it is hitting the trend line. It's hitting all the right buttons, but such a strong jump from this, it makes me suspicious. So I'd say that it has a breathing space until the this is the weekly R2 to try and test it, but I'm not sure. I'm not sure if it's reaching it. I think if it does, then everything basically is open. It can test again the last high, or break above it, or maybe here, or maybe make a double top structure here and go down. And of course it can just top out here on the R2, the weekly R2. So I'm very much suspicious of this very strong bounce back. I think that this needs more time to breathe, more time to consolidate, more time to build a base, maybe really hang on a range and let the alts do their own thing. It's about time, as ratios are very depressed. We will see, I think, that the weekend we will see now the action, price action getting smaller and smaller on all fronts. But who knows, in the last weekends crazy things have happened as well. So we will just have to wait and see, but I'm expecting a more decisive move on the beginning of the week, on Monday. Until then, I wish you all a good weekend. Thank you, guys.